It was the summer of 2019 and I was 16, spending most of my days hanging out with friends and scrolling through social media. Snapchat was my go-to app. It was the easiest way to keep in touch with everyone. One night, something happened that made me rethink my entire social media presence. It was a humid evening, and I was lounging in my room, snapping goofy pictures to my best friend, Rachel. We had this unspoken competition of who could send the most ridiculous faces. I remember ending a snap of myself with a mouthful of toothpaste, a trail off OAM dripping down my chin. Rachel's laughing emoji response came almost instantly. We kept up this back and forth until I noticed a new notification. Snapchat from unknown user. I didn't recognize the username. Curious, I opened it. The snap was a pitch-black image with a caption that read, "Hi there." I figured it was a friend playing a prank with a burner account. I replied with a simple, "Who's this?" The message was read almost immediately, but no reply came. Shrugging it off, I went back to chatting with Rachel. Minutes later, another snap from unknown user popped up. This time, the picture was of my street, taken from what seemed to be the entrance of my neighborhood. The caption read, "Guess where I am?" My heart skipped a beat. I typed, "Seriously, who is this?" and hit send. Again, it was read instantly, but left unanswered. A sense of unease settled in. I messaged Rachel about it, and she tried to lighten the mood by suggesting it was probably one of our friends messing with me. But something didn't feel right. I decided to ignore it, hoping it would stop. An hour passed, and I was starting to relax again when another notification buzzed. Reluctantly, I opened it. The snap was of my house, taken from the end of my driveway. The caption read, "Nice place." Panic set in. I rushed to my window and peered outside. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but my hands were trembling as I pulled my curtains shut. I called Rachel, my voice shaking as I explained what was happening. She offered to come over, but I told her I'd be fine. I didn't want to drag her into this. After hanging up, I locked all the doors and double-checked the windows. I felt a bit safer, but was still on edge. Another snap. My breath hitched as I opened it. This time, it was a photo of my backyard, taken through the gap in the fence. The caption read, "Almost there." That's when I lost it. I called my parents, who were out at a late dinner, and told them everything. They were understandably freaked out and told me to stay inside until they got back. Minutes felt like hours as I sat on the living room couch, clutching my phone like a lifeline. Then, the worst happened. The doorbell rang. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought it might burst out of my chest. I crept to the peephole and looked out. No one was there. I didn't dare open the door. Instead, I called the police. The operator reassured me that officers were on their way. As I waited, I got another snap. With shaking hands, I opened it. The picture was of my front porch, taken from just outside the door. The caption read, "Surprise!" I couldn't breathe. I retreated to the kitchen, grabbing the largest knife I could find. Moments later, flashing red and blue lights illuminated my front yard. I ran to the door and flung it open, nearly collapsing in relief as two officers stepped inside. They checked the entire property but found no one. I showed them the snaps, but they couldn't trace the account. It was a dead end. My parents arrived soon after, and I've never been so happy to see them. The police promised to patrol the area for the next few nights, but it did little to ease my fear. I didn't sleep at all that night, or the next few nights for that matter. The snaps stopped, but the fear lingered. I changed all my social media settings to private and became much more cautious about who I added or interacted with online. To this day, I still wonder who it was and what they wanted. Was it a prank that went too far, or something more sinister? I'll never know. But one thing's for sure, I'm much more careful about my online presence now. So, next time you get a snap from an unknown user, Think twice before opening it. You never know who might be watching. Last winter, when I was 17, I learned a lesson about trust and how easily it can be shattered. I was always the type to keep my Snapchat friends list pretty small, mostly just close friends and a few people from school. But that December, something strange happened that made me rethink everything. It started innocently enough. I got a friend request from someone named Alex J on Snapchat. I didn't recognize the name, but we had a few mutual friends. Maybe it was someone from a class I didn't remember. I accepted the request and soon received a snap from them. The picture was a harmless selfie of a teenage guy with dark hair and glasses, smiling awkwardly at the camera. The caption read, "Hey, it's Alex from math class." I didn't recall any Alex from math, but I figured I just didn't remember. I replied with a casual, "Hey, what's up?" Over the next few days, we exchanged snaps regularly. Alex seemed friendly, always sending snaps of his day, studying, playing video games, hanging out with friends. It was all very normal. But then things started to get a little weird. One evening, I was at home, curled up on the couch with a book. My phone buzzed with a snap from Alex. I opened it to see a picture of my street taken from what seemed to be the entrance of my neighborhood. The caption read, "Nice neighborhood?" My ear traced. I quickly replied, "Are you nearby?" hoping it was just a coincidence. Alex didn't respond immediately, which only made me more anxious. A few minutes later, another snap from Alex J popped up. This time it was a picture of my house, taken from across the street. The caption read, "Cool place." Panic set in. I typed out a frantic message, "Alex, why are you at my house?" But before I could send it, another snap came through. The picture was of my front door, taken from the porch. The caption simply said, "Knock, knock." I bolted to the window, peering out into the dark. The porch light was on, but I couldn't see anyone. I texted my parents, who were out for the evening, and told them what was happening. They told me to stay inside and call the police if it continued. Trying to stay calm, I locked all the doors and windows. I was about to call Rachel, my best friend, when another snap came through. My hands trembled as I opened it. The picture was taken inside my house. It showed the hallway leading to the living room with the caption, "I'm here." I felt like the world was spinning. I grabbed the closest thing I could seize a weapon, a heavy lamp, and crept towards the hallway. My phone buzzed again. Another snap. I opened it with dread. It was a picture of my bedroom door, taken from inside the house. The caption read, "Found you." I wanted to scream, but I held it in, trying to think clearly. I called 911, whispering my situation to the operator. They told me to stay hidden and that officers were on their way. I locked myself in the bathroom, clutching the lamp, heart pounding. A few excruciating minutes later, I heard sirens. The police arrived and swept through the house. They didn't find anyone. It was as if Alex had vanished into thin air. They took my statement and promised to keep an eye on the area, but there wasn't much else they could do. I blocked Alex J and deleted the chat history, but the fear lingered. For weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I couldn't understand how someone had gotten inside my house without breaking in, or where they had gone. A few days later, Rachel told me about a guy from our school who had gone missing around the same time the snap started. His name was Alex. He was in our grade, but we didn't have any classes together. The coincidence was chilling. I wondered if the Alex J I had been snapping with was the same Alex who had disappeared. The police continued their investigation, but no leads turned up. The disappearance remained a mystery, and so did the identity of the person who had invaded my home. I couldn't shake the fear, and it took a long time before I felt safe again. To this day, I don't know what happened to Alex or who was behind those snaps. All I know is that trust is a fragile thing, and sometimes the people we think we know are not who they seem. So, next time you get a friend request from someone you don't remember, be careful. You never know what secrets might be hiding behind that friendly smile. It was late spring of 2020, and lockdown had turned my world upside down. With nothing but time on my hands, I found myself glued to my phone more than ever. Snapchat became my window to the outside world, a way to stay connected with friends and feel a sense of normalcy. But what started as harmless entertainment quickly turned into a waking nightmare. One night I was scrolling through my feed when I received a snap from a user named Night Owl. The username was unfamiliar, but I had been adding random people out of boredom. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the snap. It was a photo of a dimly lit room with a single candle casting eerie shadows on the walls. The caption read, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I laughed at it off and replied, "Only if they're friendly." The message was read instantly, but there was non-response. I shrugged and went back to watching TV. About an hour later, another snap from Night Owl popped up. This time, it was a video. The camera panned slowly across an old, dusty attic filled with cobwebs and antique furniture. The caption read, "Look closer." I watched the video again, trying to see what Night Owl was hinting at. In the corner of the screen, just for a split second, I saw what looked like a figure moving in the shadows. A chill ran down my spine. I typed out a message, "Who are you?" and hit send. Again, it was read instantly, but no reply came. Feeling uneasy, I decided to message my friend Jake about it. He was always up for a good scare and would probably find this hula thing hilarious. Jake suggested edit was probably someone trying to mess with me, but I wasn't so sure. As the night wore on, I tried to put it out of my mind, but it lingered there like a bad dream. Around midnight, I received another snap from Night Owl. My heart pounded as I opened it. The picture was of my street, taken from the perspective of someone standing just outside my house. The caption read, "I see you." Panic set in. I rushed to the window and peered out into the darkness. The street was empty, and the only light came from the flickering street lamp at the end of the block. I locked all the doors and windows, my hands shaking. Who was this person, and how did they know where I lived? I called Jake, my voice trembling as I explained what was happening. He offered to come over, but we were still under lockdown orders, and I didn't want to get him in trouble. Instead, he stayed on the phone with me while I called the police. The police arrived quickly and did a thorough sweep of the area. They found no one, but took my statement and promised to keep an eye on the neighborhood. I blocked Night Owl and deleted all the snaps, hoping that would be the end of it. For a few days, things were quiet. I started to relax, convincing myself it had all been a sick joke. But then, one night as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a faint tapping on my window. My heart nearly stopped. I froze, straining to listen. The tapping continued, slow and deliberate. I mustered up the courage to peek through the blinds, and there, illuminated by the moonlight, was a face staring back at me. It was a man, his eyes wide and unblinking, his mouth twisted into a sinister smile. He held up his phone and took a picture, the flash blinding me momentarily. I screamed and stumbled back, grabbing my phone to call the police again. The operator tried to calm me down as I explained what was happening. The police were on their way, but those minutes felt like hours. The tapping had stopped, but I could hear faint footsteps outside, circling the house. When the police arrived, the man was gone. They searched the area but found no trace of him. My parents, who had been out of town, rushed back home, horrified by what had happened. We installed security cameras and motion sensor lights, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The police investigation didn't turn up any leads, and I was left with more questions than answers. Who was Night Owl? Why had they targeted me? And where had they gone? For months, I lived in fear, jumping at every shadow and unexpected noise. It took a long time before I could sleep through the night without waking up in a cold wee-at. Even now, the memory of that face at my window haunts me. I've learned to be much more cautious about who I interact with online. The internet can be a dark and dangerous place, filled with shadows that can easily seep into the real world. So if you ever get a snap from someone you don't know, think twice before opening it. You never know who or what might be lurking behind the screen. If you want to see more horror stories, check out my next video.